Peace and blessings. Keep up the lessons. You know who this is. Crypto B-Boy coming at you. Yeah, we got some stuff today and get some news rundown for you and get into some of the really juicy stuff that's going on. There's a whole lot of things going on. I don't have a lot of time to be able to go over everything. Excuse me, and I don't want to make this video too long, of course, but we're going to get in. Just stay with me, okay, and we'll see what's going on. Ready? Are you ready? Let's get it. Alrighty then. Yeah, so we here, man. We're gonna get in, but don't forget to subscribe to your bro. You know, when you get the chance, try to get in and subscribe to me. You know, as soon as you can, man. If you're not already subscribed, and those who have subscribed to your bro, I appreciate it. Keep up with me. Stay with me. The videos that I bring, I try to bring value. I try to bring as much as information. As I grow, as I do my research, I keep going. I'm gonna keep going. I'm getting older, but that ain't gonna stop me. I'm trying to do what I can to get to you what I get to give. To give to you what I receive. So stay with me, and you'll get more. So I appreciate you guys that are with me. And don't forget, when you leave and go on out of here, click the like button if you like the video and everything, and comment in it. Comment in the comment space if you want. That's all good. I love that. I love to interact with comments and so forth. And I try to reply to everybody, back to everybody as much as I can. And I appreciate you guys who have and giving me some good advice, as well as talking about the issue that we were talking about, and added your contribution to the subject. Okay, so anyway, this is the first thing we're going to get into. Excuse me, that's not it. The first thing is we're going to get into the news, what's going on in the news. So just bear with me. I will get that up for you, and then we'll talk about what's going on in the news a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to get into reading the whole articles, but these are some of the articles that I get from, and you can go on your own and go to Telegraph and get your own get into the news as I actually run down some of the topics. Like, for instance, crypto market rally stalls at the 1.2 trillion level, but bulls are getting positioned. And it says the total crypto market cap has stalled at the 1.2 trillion level, but derivatives data shows bulls are preparing for the next breakout. So they're preparing. So you guys get into that article and go there. You can read more about it and find out about what's going on there. And I'm sure people are really interested in knowing how far the crypto market is going. And is it going up? Is it going down? Or is it staying at the same? No, but we're seeing that as a lot more of signs to show that there's a possible breakout, and cryptos will probably exceed up the ladder, up the charts. So, okay. And then the next thing that I have here is big news, as they've been having it, and maybe later I'll go through the actual article that has been out there. Binance and CZ sued by CFTC over U.S. regulatory violations. The cryptocurrency exchange and its founder, Changpeng Zhao, has allegedly violated trading and derivatives rules. So this guy and his exchange, which is one of the biggest exchanges internationally, as to be said, that he has been in trouble before, and America has been trying to get after him, and as America regulation by enforcement, trying to bring regulatory clarity by enforcement. I mean, that's their way, that's their MO now, right now. So especially as we know with the SEC, so there's nothing new. You know what I mean? So we'll leave it at that with that news there. Okay, let me go and see. I think there's something else that I wanted to run by you guys. Oh yeah, Bitcoin. What does it say here? Bitcoin. What do we have? Where we at? Where is it at? Where is that article at? Where's the article at? I'm sorry, guys. Should have been here. But anyway, I'll just run this by you. Bitcoin might blow up Africa's 86 billion banking system. So, that article, I'm trying to find it. Oh, here we go. Right here. I'm sorry. We'll click on it, see if we can get it. Oh, okay. Well, right about now, that's been a problem for me to click in. So what I'll do, I'll go to my email and I'll click it out for you, so you guys can get the gist of what is going on there, and we'll read it real quick for you. Just give me a quick sec. Okay, I'll read it for you while you see it on the screen. Um, okay, here we go. Bitcoin might blow up Africa's 86 billion banking system, as it says, as many, and this is by Kevin from, of course, Pro Coin News. Okay, and it says, as many within the African continent may be aware, the current banking system in Africa is expensive and is extremely inconvenient for most people. This is because there are a lot of remote and rural areas, which means that digital banking options are extremely limited. Due to this, much of the continent has been excluded from the existing traditional banking system, and meaning they're unbanked, and we heard of this term, and the majority of financial services are out of reach for the average person. Okay, so what makes crypto and Bitcoin especially good for Africa is that it is available for everyone. It is a way to do transactions in real time without any need for institutions. It also helps bypass all the other problems that Africa is facing, such as corruption, hyperinflation, and bank restrictions that all limit the financial freedom of the people. So yeah, with Bitcoin, that is well known there, but we know that, and for the XRP community and many of people who are investors in XRP know that XRP has more of prospects to give these people who are unbanked, these people who are deprived and underprivileged, to being able to have their money be able to be transacting easily, and be able to get cross-border payments of people, some of those people who are African diasporans that go outside the country, and they want to utilize their monies for their families at home in Africa, in different countries in Africa, right? So the cross-border payment situation is well established through Ripple, the company, which is the one who facilitates the functionality, and then is the ones who have control over the asset known as XRP, with the XRP ledger, XRP asset, which is the coin and so forth, right? Or token, if you want to say, which is a digital token. But basically, it facilitates ODL, on-demand liquidity. It facilitates cross-border payments, right? Remittance, right? So remittance is very important for these people making these transactions and being able to get money to and from, right? Person to person. Now, Bitcoin, yeah, this can be done as well, but the process is not as fast and not as efficient and convenient with Bitcoin, but it's more well known with XRP and other, like XLM from the Stellar company, and so forth, right? The utility coins, these coins that have a more advanced technology in their protocols, in their network. All right, Bitcoin network is the first, but it's old, and we know of this, so we know, right? Okay, so enough of that. Now I want to go to what's going on in a big way, because these things that are going on, man, is really something that we see going on out here. And I'm telling you that the only thing that we can do is really, like, check what's going on a level of this, on the basis of this, what the BRICS nations. I mean, a lot is going on, and keeps going into that category, keeps going into that narrative of what's going on, and it being like the actual one of the biggest. It's not. There's a lot of catalyst things that are going on. There's a lot of effects and a lot of factors of different catalysts. Okay, and this one is a real big one with the BRICS nations. But look at what's going on the level of just what they're talking about in the news. Okay, so give me a quick minute and I'll get it up for you. This is a video that is dealing with with the BRICS nations from Fox News. And what they're talking about now, I saw this as a tweet, and shout outs to the person who tweeted this out. I think it was digital asset investor, if I'm correct. But I went into the Fox myself and found the art, the video, and it was something else, because it's talking about the different understanding of what's going on in relation to the shifting of the people going away from the dollar. How people are shifting away, governments, countries are shifting away from the usage of the dollar, as the dollar being the worldwide reserve currency, right? The global reserve currency. Or, as you know, how Saudi, which is becoming a big controversy and discussions, are being talked about majorly because of their maneuver and their movements and their statements against staying and pegged to the dollar with their commodity known as oil. What is their main commodity? What is their main money maker for their country and their GDP, right? Oil. We know that with Saudi Arabia. It's an oil country, right? Or high level oil producing, one of the most highest or biggest oil producers in the world, right? And so a lot of their economy is based on the profits of selling and exporting oil, right? So basically they're changing up with, as far as pegging the dollar to their oil, right? As we know, is the history on that. Some of us who know, and those of us who don't know, you do your own due diligence, because I'm not going to go over the whole thing here. But let me let you listen to the video, and then we can go from there.
Message to the West during their 3-day summit this week. As new concerns rise, they are looking to undermine the U.S. dollar. Take a look at this. Vladimir Putin announced this week that Russia will begin using the Chinese yuan for international payments instead of the dollar. Saudi Arabia is also in talks with Beijing to do the same thing. Speaking of Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, they're in talks with Iran as well to consider an economic alliance with China and Russia. And they can even be joining the BRIC countries, which is an acronym for these countries.
I'm sorry.
Countries here: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries all have emerging economies. So what happens if our economy and the U.S. dollar are no longer the world's dominant currency? Former Assistant Treasury Secretary and host of the Monica Crowley podcast, Monica Crowley, is here to weigh in. Monica, great to see you this morning. Let's start right there. What happens if these emerging economies move away from the U.S. dollar towards the Chinese yuan?
Well, good morning, Will. It's great to be with you. And it's really hard to overstate exactly how catastrophic the abandonment of the U.S. dollar would be as the world's global reserve currency. Look, since the end of World War II, the dollar has been the safe place to go, and it's been backed up by a couple of things. It originally was backed up by gold, but President Nixon took us off the gold standard, so there's no hard asset backing up the dollar anymore for the last 50 years. But also it's been backed up by the strength and economic power of the United States and the fact that oil has always been traded in dollars.
So, as you hear that, we'll leave it at that. But that's just her, this lady, Monica Crowley. She's getting into trying to answer with this guy who's doing the commentary or the reporting of it and on Fox. And it's pretty much clear. You know, we know what's going on. But this is a clear sign to show you that the transferring of the wealth has been happening already. It's taking place. The banks issue, they building up main banks and creating main banks. Either they are created, give a name, a new name, or so forth, or going to the existing banks, the main business business banks or financial institutions banks that we know, like Bank of America, J.P. Morgan. I can't remember. I think UBI. I think UBI. I think it is correct. And different banks that money, all this liquidity is going from the banks that are being closed, like Signature Bank, SVB, Silvergate, transferring over. And this is not just happening here in America. This is happening all over the world in different countries. We know what's happened in Lebanon. And look at what happened with their banks, not being able to get money. These guys were going to make bank runs. They couldn't even get their money. Started fires and rioting. in Nigeria. You know, there's a lot going on. Protests all over the world in for different reasons, but they're all connected. They're all connected. And these people that are at the top and these powers that be have, of course, planned these things, all part of the plan, and has given the reasons or given the outcomes to be what they are, and had already knew what people were going to do. Already know about the protests and this and that and stuff, and maybe even riots were going to break out and stuff was going to get out of hand, and they would have to bring their forces or even eventually armed forces, military armed forces to bring the country or that society to control, because a lot of stuff was getting out of hand. But we're in the first phases of that, so everybody needs to really buckle down and be careful and watch what's going on, and be very vigilant and watch and look and listen and be careful out here. You know, so this stuff is jumping off. So basically, let's leave off with that. You can also go and watch that video. I may go back into it in another video, a little bit of what she said, but you know, right now I'm just trying to keep this video kind of to a lower where it's not a lot of time spent. You know, I'm not trying to go over the time with you guys. I want to allow you guys to watch it and feel comfortable and not feel like you have to sit for hours. It ain't going to be like that anyway, but you know. But here's another video that I want you to look at, and I want you to see and listen to what these guys are saying. And certain parts I'm going to hit, and some things I'm going to try to touch on as we go. So we'll take this look and roll out to the last of this video that I'm doing for you guys with this video, and stay with me still while we're watching it. All right, let's get it.
Kitco News, special coverage of the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference is brought to you by First Mining Gold.
I'm Michelle McCory, and we are back at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, where one of the big themes has been the challenge to the dollar-dominated monetary system. And my next guest says a global monetary reset is already underway. Andy Schechtman is the president and owner of Miles Franklin Precious Metals. He has 3 decades of experience in the precious metal sector and is a very well-regarded expert on monetary history and political economy. Welcome to Kitco, Andy.
Thanks for having me, Michelle. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you. Although, as I said to you earlier, it's a little bit terrifying hearing what you break down for us. And it all hinges off this idea of de-dollarization, which seems to be gaining momentum following Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the way the dollar has been increasingly weaponized, taking Russia off the SWIFT system. The BRICS taking notice of this and saying, well, perhaps we should have our own currency backed by commodities. We've seen those conversations happen and develop following the withdrawal from Afghanistan, which arguably was a disaster. We had Saudi Arabia question whether they want to be part of the BRICS and question their relationship with the United States. And we've also got Russia, for example, offering to help Iran with a gold-backed stable coin. So we have all of these pieces falling into place, and perhaps not coincidentally, we've also seen central banks buying gold at record rates. Now, you say all of these are just data points that if you connect them together, you see a narrative that points towards a global monetary reset. And it all started for you in 2017 when you saw that the Bundesbank, Germany, was repatriating its gold. So why don't we take it from there, Andy? Break down your thesis, joining those dots for us.
Sure, thank you. That's well done. That's a good roadmap. So it's true. You know, at the end of 2011, as the bull market started to head down into a bear market, by 2017, we saw capitulation on many levels, not only with the retail investor, but also the central banks. Central banks were selling their gold. It really never made a whole lot of sense to me. And by 2017, we were at really at the peak of the bear market in precious metals. And this was when Bitcoin was taking off. And there were a lot of people selling their gold, and talks of central banks divesting of gold and investing in treasuries or income producing assets. And then out of nowhere, a story popped up that the Bundesbank had been trying to repatriate their gold for a few years, but started to really make a big deal of it in 2017. It caught my eye. Why would they want to repatriate their gold from the New York Fed in the midst of what seemed to be a movement away from precious metals and into other forms of investment? I digress.
Now, now I want to go to where the China's Belt and Road Initiative, because it shows you how things were just going down and how the shifting started, even especially with China and other countries in the East, whether the Middle East as well, because these people are so tired and they're over the well, I would say imperialistic way of control with the dollar, of how they use the dollar as a tool of imperialistic control and to dominate all of the world with their control. You know what I mean? And using the dollar to do so. So this is what people got tired of, and they wanted freedom. This is the basic thing. They wanted freedom to be able to have sovereignty away from economical dominance of the American system, okay? Or the powers that be, if you want to say. But anyway, let's listen.
2020, I start to notice the second very interesting piece of the puzzle, and that was the Chinese Belt Road and Rail Initiative. And this is the largest infrastructure project in human history, and it's connecting Asia and Africa and parts of South America and Europe, the old Silk Road.
But that's been developing for, what, over a decade
It
now?
has been, but it really started to gain traction in 2020. And I'm looking at it and realizing that all 13 OPEC producing countries are on the Belt Road. Almost 70% of human population and 40% of global GDP on this growing group of countries. And it's all void of US dollar participation. Most of it settling on the new Chinese digital yuan. And so it started to get my...
Now, you see, that's where it started, okay? And then now, you know, you get to where Saudi Arabia, right, is doing their initiative.
About until shortly after 2021. 2020, the banks are still buying gold. And 2021 rolls around and we see the day that we leave Afghanistan in a very unharmonious way. Saudi Arabia, I think, at that point, signed the death warrant for the end of the petrodollar the day we left Afghanistan or the day after. And I think there is no coincidence in the timing. Saudi Arabia announces a joint military cooperation agreement with Russia. You know, I often ask...
And just to recap, leaving Afghanistan, deserting weapons, deserting allies,
Yes.
deserting personnel.
Leaving our own servicemen and women behind enemy lines was something that would have been considered inconceivable in the United States that I grew up.
Okay, now the weaponizing of the dollar.
I'm really starting to notice that there's a growing group of countries that are formulating around the BRICS that are, I think, coalescing against the dollar, the hypocrisy, the hegemony of the dollar. And you could see it, you could feel it, and you could watch all of the gold that was being sent eastward and the accumulation and the de-dollarization. 2022 rolls along and the weaponization of the dollar, as you mentioned, where I believe it's not the prerogative of the West to say who can and can't use the world reserve currency. It should be more for public opinion, not for the administrator of the currency to decide who can and can't use it. And it was that moment, and I often ask people, do you think this was intended? You know, we have 130 trillion in debt, 31 trillion that's on balance sheet, and Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security, which is 55 trillion underfunded in and of itself, and government military pensions, render us insolvent. Most of this debt accumulated at the lowest interest rates in human history. Was it intended? Did we want to pick a villain to create this great reset, to all of a sudden start the de-dollarization? And this is where the story gets very interesting as it turns from here.
Okay, well, let's revisit some of those points there. So the dollar starts to unravel in this narrative when Saudi Arabia starts to make deals with China and the petrodollar is in jeopardy. So you're saying Saudi Arabia is now looking at Russia for protection. And if you're Saudi Arabia, you're thinking two things. For one thing, you're watching how the dollar was weaponized in the Russia invasion of Ukraine, and you're going, We don't want that. We can't have that happen to our assets. What if the US wakes up one morning and don't like our human rights policies, for example?
Now, you see, this is all part of the plan, but how this was done is that the pressure was made, and this is my point of view, the pressure was created through the all part of the plan techniques and maneuvers to gather, to push these people to gather together by pressuring them to decide and say, well, we have to do our own thing and we have to create BRICS and we have to create our own economical structure. We have to create our own sovereignty within that camaraderie of coming together as nations, building this organization, building this association, and so forth, right? That we won't be under control or have that hegemony or that imperialistic bubble over our nations. That we will be sovereign and we will be able to function, even if they decided to come at us in a way on an economical level, sanctioning and all this other type of stuff that's been going on because they don't like our policy, or even if we get into where we might have a warfare, then they want to take sides and then they want to disable our economical system in our countries. These people got tired of that, and that's why they did what they did. And now this is being done, and we're seeing this happening and hearing what they're saying. Now, this video is pretty much longer, and I'm not going to allow to take all that time out to do that. And I'm going to try to basically stop here. But I just wanted to say, you and all of you guys who are invested, okay, in cryptocurrencies as a whole, especially the utility functional cryptocurrencies, the utility being they have a use case, they will do something, they will solve a problem and help to solve some of these problems, if not a lot of these problems that we're going through with the economical crisis globally, which has been all planned so that there can be a reset. So some of these catalysts, like the BRICS, is a bigger catalyst than maybe some, and some other catalysts fall into place with it, along as piecing the puzzle, like the gentleman that was sitting there talking about. All these piecing the puzzle, and this is stuff that I've spoken about. I've said this stuff various times in my videos. It's all part of the plan, and being that it's all part of the plan, they're pieces. So all these pieces are coming together, and people are starting to say, "Oh, wow!" And now they're talking about it a lot more. Before, they was just ignoring, and then they was like, making jokes against the cryptocurrency space. Now they're all eyes on, and then we have the enemies and the people who are going up against and trying to put a stop to and gaining control. The big top people want to gain control. The big top financial institutions gain control of the digital assets, and especially the ones that are banking established functionality through their networks and protocols to be able to provide the solutions for those infrastructures within those institutions, that whatever they're going to be using for their banking or their financial functions for their clients and their customers, whether it's big business or what have you, right? That they're providing these services for. These companies like J.P. Morgan, Bank of America, especially now, as we see, Bank of America is really big. They have a lot of liquidity, and they're really doing their thing, and their money has been moved to them to make it even increase that. UBI and so forth, right? BIS, a Bank of International, settlements, big time, over there. We have the European central bank, big time over there with Christina Lagarde saying the stuff and talking and going over all these people, IMF, all these major institutions that will utilize these protocols, that will utilize these digital assets. whether they're to bridge, to create bridges, or chains, off chains that are secondary bridging interoperability with each other to basically run along with the main nets of those particular said cryptocurrencies, such as we know, many of us, the banking coins, or we know as the utility coins such as XRP, number one, through Ripple being the number one company, and their technology, one of the number one technologies for facilitating these functions. And they have various services in their packages, right, to provide for these companies and these organizations and government organizations, federal organizations, institutions. And then you have Stellar with XLM, Lumina. You have HBAR. You have XDC with Zenfin. You have IOTA. Going down the line, Quant. So these are there. But take heed to that, people. That if you know all of this catalysts are connected with that, why would you sell yourself out? Why would you give up your bags? It doesn't make any sense. Even though they are trying to establish a control over the rails, right? The off rails, or the off ways of people to be able to get their money and transact and exchange their money out through banking or exchanges. They're trying to break those barriers and close those bridges. Okay, if it does happen, you still hold on to an asset that is valuable. They can't take that away from you. You just may not be able to do right off then until the time comes, regulatory clarity comes, and everything goes through, and then you find the ways to off ramp it. You understand? Don't give up. That's the point. So stay with it. Stay firm. Until the next time, this is your bro, Crypto B-Boy, coming at you. Peace, and I thank you for listening. Do not forget to subscribe and click the like button when you go on your way out. I appreciate you guys. Stay with it. Keep with it. Do your thing. DCA, all of that, whatever. All right. Peace.